Welcome to the Infinity GT Manufacturers Series Season 6, League 2, Group 3 category. This is the 15-minute sprint race. Technically qualification to determine the grid for Dragon Trail Seaside, which will be the Group 4 category, Dragon Trail Seaside. Yeah, Spa, Frankenstrom's in the wet. Very tricky. Well, I found it tricky anyway. But the front we go. Yeah, it's going to be nice and slow up to turn number 1. La Source. We've got MLA looking, Valium sneaking up the inside there. And yeah, a few cars going wide, but in all honesty, so tricky these conditions. I just couldn't master them, to be honest with you. Struggled. I don't practice no more, so yeah, but you can tell the guys that do practice, so fair play to them. Practice does pay off. We've got Valium running it very wide there. We've got is that Bazinga in the background? Bazinga running it a bit wide, top of Eau Rouge. MLA looks like it as well. I'm not going to go back, so I want to try and get the 2 replays into one. But yeah, Spa Frankenstrom's, we've done the dry race. The 40-minute endurance race. This is now the 15-minute sprint race, just to determine, as Rick gets it all wrong when the exit hits the curve. It's best to avoid the curves if you can, because it will push the car out wide and into the barrier. Rob currently sitting in 5th, so he's loving these conditions at the minute. In 5th position. Nath there in the Supra in 4, so doing okay. And yeah, James Harburn in the Lamborghini. I always thought the Lamborghini was a 4-wheel drive, but I know the Group 4 category is a 4-wheel drive, but this one isn't. So Nath can quite possibly capitalise from this, get that third off of James. But you know, the MRs, I mean, they seem alright in the wet conditions. And yeah, I just couldn't get to grips with the conditions in the car, and yeah, it's just one of them. We've got Dave there in 2nd position. P1 Valium leading this race, so he's going to look like we're going to be doing a hot lap with him. Well, on board lap, sorry. I normally get these out in the afternoon, but I thought I'd get it out now. It's basically feathering that throttle, not heavy footed on that throttle, and just nice and gentle on the brakes. Keep the cars nice and steady. Got DMK Martin there battling. It looked like side by side, but he's just dropped back into the slipstream there. Let's see if he can get this move done. So he's behind MLA and myself behind in 8th. He slowed up a bit there, you know, just to keep the car nice and composed through the corners. Bazinga still recovering. Rick's spinning again, not having a great time around Spa in the feature race. We've got a long way to go, 15 minutes we remember. So then, P1 Valium on board, wet conditions. The last time out we done it in car, it was dry, so exiting the source now. Dropping downhill. Obviously this is full throttle, heading down the slight. Yeah, it's like go down slightly. Here in the dry you could take it flat, but in these conditions you got to lift off and drop it down again. He does it nice there up for no reason. Now down the long Kemmel straight. Dave is just in the background, but P1 Valium is extending that gap over Dave, who's in 2nd position. Nathan 3rd. Purple sector there for, give you an idea, we'll put this on so you can see the throttle input and the brake input, so steady there. The Lambo seems to suit that section a bit better than Honda NSX. Yeah, Honda NSX, we've got the Lamborghini, we've got the Nissan GTR, we've got the Ferrari, we've got the Toyota, we've got the Aston Martin, we've got the Hyundai. We'll go for the cars in a minute, but yeah, as you see now, he's not full throttle, he's actually under half a throttle, so you know, and again he's extending that gap over Dave. And I think it's the double left-handers now coming up. Normally you could clip them apexes and full throttle around here, but look, down to 3rd gear, not using maximum power. You can't, it's just so tricky just to get it right. This bit here as well, it has a tendency in these conditions to run you wide, but a little bit of a late apex there from P1 Valium. So nicely done there from P1 Valium. Another heavy braking section. Again, you could take this in third and a lot quicker than what he is now. This part here, this corner, too much throttle. You're swinging that back end out and you're kissing the barrel on the right hand side. And look at that gap. A little bit of a switch on from Dave in the background as what we can see. But P1 Valium now got a nice hefty lead out in front, so he could just run at his own pace if he wishes. He's got about 2 to 3 second lead over Dave. There's Dave coming around that corner now. So yeah, P1 Valium doesn't have to do anything risky, just take his time. But as I say that, he's very deep into the final chicane. From what was around about a 3 second gap, it's now down to probably a second, just over a second. But that's an onboard lap with P1 Valium. Currently sitting in pole position. Dave in second, just keeping Valium in his sights. Myself up to third. How? I don't remember this at all. Yeah, third. MLA looking to the inside of me. Just go by MLA. Just past me, because sooner or later I'm going to bin it. The cars. This is the Ferrari. So the cars, Honda NSX, Group 3 category. Dave in a Lamborghini, Group 3 category. Ferrari, Group 3 as well. Myself in a Supra. Bazinga in the Aston Martin. He's loving the slow, wet conditions in the Aston Martin. Martin there in the Hyundai. And then we've got James Harben as well in the Lamborghini with his teammate up in second. Nath in 8th in the Toyota Supra as well. Rob behind Nath in the other NSX. And we've got Rick, who's currently struggling in 10th position, but he's still there. If anything happens further up the grid, he'd be pouncing on coming on through. So never say never. 2:45.614 at this moment in time for Valium. Dave, right about 2 seconds off that pace. 2:47.687. 2:51, no comment. MLA 2:52. But he's still sitting behind me. I think at this stage I was holding MLA up a little bit. And Bazinga 2:48. So Bazinga is basically on the same pace as Dave, who's in second. So Bazinga doing a good job in that Aston Martin, just following these cars. When they do an error, if they do an error, you could just gain a position or two. James Harben 2:51. Martin now a 2:53.264 with Nath a 2:57. So he is struggling. Rob a 2:58, and then Rick all the way at the back. I'll estimate around about 10 to 12 second gap to ninth position, but he's doing a 2:48. So presentable lap time there. He's almost, a few cars ahead of him. The likes of Rob there. He's doing a 2:58. Nath seems to have gone off track. So Rick has got the pace of the lead runners, but it's just not happening for him in this race. As I say that, MLA runs it wide. Myself in the background, kissing the barrier. Yes, that's how it was in this race. Yep, I had kissed the barrier, and I'm basically in ninth position with Rick there. Rick can see me. Is he coming around now? There's Rick. Son of a motor, I'll be dead last, oh well. And then Rick will just come on through and say, haha, Darren, get out of my way, you fat git. And yeah, he's just looking, let him on by in the inside. Yes, we'll just have our race at the back, Rick, shall we, with the loners at the back. And yeah, run it off track again. But at the front we go. This is for pole position. What has happened here? I don't want to go back because I want to put the two videos into one. It just saves a lot of time, editing and whatnot. But Dave, in the lead of the race, Valium in second. James Harben not too far away, but he's actually got the attention of Bazinga. Bazinga in fourth, and Bazinga is looking for a podium in this race, and he's doing a damn good job. Fair play to him. MLA recovering up to fifth with a few cars going off. Bazinga, and MLA are just getting position here and there. So Can Bazinga capitalise on James Harben in third position, or will James Harben defend, or is it worth defending in these conditions? Bazinga opting for the traction control, the bottom right. He's like skid marks behind the car, that's traction control. James Harben as well. P1 Valium hasn't opted for the traction control, which is very surprising, to be honest with you. Nor is Dave. So James Harben, MLA hasn't. Rob, Nave. Yeah, I did as well, but it didn't help me anyway. But yeah, so there's a few running without traction control, and there's a few running with traction control. Now the lead runner isn't running traction control, so that says to me, don't use traction control, because you can handle the car a lot better without the traction control. Sounds silly, but it's working out for these guys, you know. These guys haven't got no traction control, and they've got such a big lead over the rest of the field, and they're just doing it right. You know, they've obviously practiced. Practice makes perfect, as I say, especially in these conditions. But P1 Valium is gaining ever so slightly up to the back of Dave. We've got under 5 minutes to go. Spa and Dragon Trail Seaside, the feature will be in one video. It's just how I want to do it. So it acts like qualification for Dragon Trail Seaside, and it's just make the video a little bit different, you know. Saves a lot of time as well. And yeah, Dragon Trail Seaside coming up next, ladies and gentlemen. The end of this video will be cut off as soon as the last car does finish, and I'll go on to Seaside, do that 40-minute endurance. That will be the Group 4 cars, and see who comes out on top there. Nath there being harassed by Rob. Rob is enjoying these conditions. He looked at Nath there to go down the inside, but no, Nath just covered it off. Nath in 7th, and he loses it on the exit chicane, or has he kept with it? Looks like to me he's kept with it. Where's he gone? There he is. So Rob up to 7th position. Rob doing a good job. Rick spun it on the chicane, you know, and he passed me. And now I've passed him. It's like a bloody yo-yo, me and him. Keep passing each other. But Rick there struggling in these conditions, just like myself, you know. We're way back. I mean, look how far back we are. And there's the two leaders at the front, the end of the camel straight. Rick recovering now, going around the source. I would estimate another lap after this, and then this race will be finished. Dave leading the way, but P1 Valium is closing that gap. You can tell. Bit of a drift moment from P1 Valium, but he is closing that gap 100%. He's mastering these conditions, and he's closing that gap up to Dave. Can Dave keep hold that first position? Because remember, all points do matter. They're added on to your feature race total as well. So could he score very good points? And we'll wait and see. P1 Valium looking for that win to stick on pole position, but David's there, and Dave will not give up so easily. Bazinga in 3rd, doing a very, very good, brilliant job, to be honest with you, in 3rd position. Quite surprising, to be honest with you, because prior to this, we've done the features like, you guys are too quick. Yeah, in the dry, but you know, the wet, you need all the skills you can get, and Bazinga in the wet conditions has got them right about now. MLA is closing that gap in the Ferrari to Bazinga. MLA is wanting that final podium position, but coming down fast as well. Just behind is James Harben. James Harben in a Lamborghini. He is bringing Martin, Rob, and Nathan along with him. Can James Harben gain up to 3rd and 4th and stick the Lamborghini on the podium as well? We're waiting to see. Rob there and Martin battling away for 6th and 7th. Nath just behind in that 8th position. Nath just had to be heavy on the brakes there, just stopped it in time. And yeah, Nath just sitting behind Rob, myself in 9th, and Rick there ghosting in 10th position. So it looks like we'll be heading on to the final lap now. We shall indeed. Can Dave get the win? Can he get that pole position for Seaside? That all-important pole position. Maximum 10 points. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And below 10th, you don't score no points in qualification. That's how they've done it this year. This season. So, P1 Valium to MLA. But MLA's battling away with Bazinga. So, MLA's got the final podium spot, but Bazinga will be wanting that back. James Harben has a close-up massively. Yeah, probably about half a second. Is it doable for James? Going up the front, Dave is, yeah, he's extended that gap over P1 Valiant, but P1 Valiant gets an extra point as well for the fast lap of the race. A 2:45.614 on lap number 2. Can he close that gap up to Dave? We're going to keep an eye on this, and Dave loses it at the end of the Camel Straight, and P1 Valiant's going on through for that pole position. It's like, thank you very much, Dave, but can he keep hold of that? Yeah, he can. Yeah, Dave can keep hold of that pole position. Sorry, second position. P1 Valiant in pole, but MLA's there. MLA's quite far behind, so I think Dave will be okay. MLA, Bazinga, James Harben. James Harben, he's only there. Now, I mean, if the third and fourth, if they do an error, he can gain a position off of them, but will they? That's the thing. They kept it on the grey stuff, and they're doing a good job. Rob up to 6th. This is a good race for Rob. Martin in 7th into the gravel. Very unfortunate indeed. So I'm the first one to finish. Yeah, and then Rick as well, finishing 10th position. So we're 9th and 10th in the qualification standings for Seaside. P1 Valiant not too far to go with Dave's error at the end of the Camel Straight. That is gifted pole position and the maximum 10 points there for P1 Valiant. MLA in 3rd, Bazinga in 4th. Bazinga drifting that Aston Martin. Can he get this position off of MLA? This is the thing. James Harben there, he's still there. I don't think he's got enough time to pass Bazinga or MLA, but never say never. Rob there is closing massively as well to the back of James Harben. Rob in 6th position, closing that gap up to James Harben. Can Rob get that 5th? But in saying that, James's attention is to 3rd and 4th. But we're going to go out the front. P1 Valiant heading to the final chicane now. P1 Valiant will be your pole sitter for Dragon Trail Seaside for the feature race. Fair play to him. Very, very good racing there from P1 Valiant. On pole, Dave going to cross the line. He's done a fast lap as well. 2:44.709. Dave will be in 2nd. Well done. MLA coming around now. The bus, is it a bus stop? Is that what they call it? In 3rd. He comes 3rd. Fair play to him. Bazinga, great race from Bazinga. MLA 3rd. Bazinga 5th. James 4th. Hey, you just let him on by. What are you helping him out for? No, that was yours, Bazinga. Don't help him out. They've got enough points as it is. Bazinga, Rob, and then Nave coming around now. Martin all the way back. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, Bazinga, Rob, Nave. They're coming around now. Here they are. They're slowly coming around. So Nave there will be in 7th. Crossing the line now, and we got Martin there. Nate there in 7th, and Martin crossing the line in 8th position. And that's, yeah, that's your sprint qualification done. See you in a minute for Seaside. Thank you.